I'm going to show you how to create a typical acid sound using the System 1M. These same principles can be applied to pretty much any subtractive synth. So here's just a basic acid sounding arpeggio. Now you can do this on the System 1. Just make sure that you set it to mono and that you change the filter type to 24 dB. But I'm going to show you on the SH101 for a couple of reasons. One, I think that the resonance on the SH101 plug-out sounds really good for acid type sounds, and also because it's a very basic synthesizer. We're trying to emulate the TB303 here, and it had very few options in the way of synthesis abilities, and the SH101 is more in line with that. For example, the TB303 could only do saw or square wave, and that's the same with the SH101. There's only the two wave shapes. So what I'm going to do now is start bringing the filter down a little bit, and then adjust the resonance. And you'll hear it when we get it to where we want it. It's on this synth, it's about 1:32 o'clock. You hear that whistling sound coming in there? That is the filter self-oscillating. We want to get it to that point and then back off just a little bit until that sound stops. We're really riding it right on the edge of oscillation. Then I'll bring the cutoff down a bit, and I'm going to turn up the envelope mod. Now, this was a control on the 303, so you can play around with it a fair bit if you want. I usually like to keep it actually pretty high up because it opens the filter and closes it. Much more action every time that a note is triggered. The only envelope control that was on the 303 was decay, so that's the only one I have up here. You can go very short, snappy sounds, or open it up a bit to hear more of the oscillator coming through underneath the filter. Back off that resonance a little more so it's not so zappy. There we go, that's what we're looking for right there. Now, there's one other setting I'm going to show you here, and it is this button here. You notice that I have legato pressed. What that does is if any notes overlap, then it doesn't re-trigger. But what it's also used for in a lot of synthesizers, as well as in the System 1M, is when legato is pressed, the portamento option only functions when those notes are overlapping. You see I have the portamento turned up a bit here, and I'll shut off legato. And the pitch is all over the place because portamento is being applied to everything. I turn on legato, and now it's only being applied to overlapping notes. And I'll switch my pattern here. There's some overlapping notes. You hear those notes sliding down? That's the slide, or similar to how the slide function works on the 303. So we're emulating that using portamento and legato. And that's it to create the basics of an acid sound. What I'm going to show you though is very often the sound of the 303 was actually sent through external effects. So I'm going to show you some of that here with the torcido, sending this sound through distortion. And then also delay. And you hear now it's sounding very much like a techno track. Some 90s trance or something. What I'm doing there is I'm adjusting the cutoff filter by hand, which is something very common that people did with the 303. But they did that because the 303 didn't have any modulation options. What we're using here does, an LFO. So now I'm going to send, I have the LFO set to a triangle wave. I'm going to send the LFO to the filter. Make sure you have key trigger shut off. That's one thing I always forget to do. So now the LFO is modulating the filter for us. And while we're going ahead and adding some stuff that the 303 didn't have, one thing that would be really good to add here is the sub-oscillator. Really fattens that bass up. And if you wanted to, you could put in both oscillators. Heavily distorted sound now. That's it. A basic acid sound, and taking it a step further beyond what you could do with just a 303 itself.